Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Week's News and Review. I'm Dark Hour 717, and this is where we'll wrap up the last week's events and information into one little video for you. Before we get started though, if you enjoy the updates, do me a favor and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and it really does help get the videos out to more people, and I thank all of those folks that have already subscribed. Stick around though till the end of the video to find out a couple of ways in which you can win one of the new ships from IAE. We are now less than a week away from the 2952 IAE, or otherwise known as the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and the anticipation is definitely growing. With more and more information coming out each day, there's going to be a lot to take in for sure. This past week, we've seen a number of rumors receive some confirmation while others have really stayed in the dark. What we do know is that with test playthroughs of 317.4 and PTU, the concentration has been on the hull swap over between the manufacturers. With no other new content for 317.4 being tested or even in the PTU-2 test. This includes the Corsair, especially as its debut currently looks as though it will be on the IAE showroom on day one. As we did do showroom testing last week and actually found some issues such as exploding ships on the showroom floor, it seems the later tests this past week went a lot smoother. Now with the showroom map showing ship positions instead of just a gray blank screen, this brought out some additional information, especially with the newest Drake ship that was seen in the promotional video, and this has confirmed that it is the Cutter. Leaks that we've seen indicate that this is a moderately small size ship, likely class size 2. There are possibly multiple variants, though this is not fully confirmed yet, or what those variants may even be. Full dimensions are not indicated, but the Expedition variant appears will have a crew of 1 with 2 SCU capacity. 1 SCU will possibly be shielded for smuggling, which is not surprising as it is a Drake ship. Also listed is a personal locker, a bed to log out from, and a weapons locker. Items listed as specific to the Expedition variant are a food machine as well as a suit locker. With no turrets, pilot-controlled weapons consist of 2 size 2 missile racks with size 1 missiles and 2 size 1 laser repeaters. The ship itself, from the looks of it, is designed to fall between the Pisces and the 300i size of ship. Depending on what other variants may be offered, this looks like it has a potential to be a great addition to any fleet. Of course, the real test will be once it's in-game and flyable. We should know the answer on day one, though, of the IAE on November 18th. Other IAE news is the discovery of RSI's new concept ship that will be likely introduced as the RSI Galaxy. Another rumored addition that seems to be mostly confirmed at this point. This newest ship has no exact details other than it will be an industrial Carrack-sized ship. As far as component or weapon loadout, limited information has been seen, but what we do know is a brief description seen on the plaque in the test playthroughs. The Galaxy will hold 6 crew and will be modular, offering weaponry, refueling, medical, and transport capabilities with future expansion planned. The ship is planned to have 32 SCU of cargo space and equipped with a size 3 shield and 3 size 5 turrets and 2 size 4 missiles. The description also states that the modularity provides for a focus on industry over combat. But with multi-crew weaponry and shields, it will be able to protect itself adequately. And as designed, there will be no snub fighter with the Galaxy. The looks of this are amazing, and I'm loving the fact that the RSI ships are moving away from the forward cockpit on the nose design and recessing it further back on the top of the ship. It does provide for a much more sleeker and modern design, and the Galaxy is billed as the Constellation made modern. I will be excited to see the additional details and information of this on release at IAE, and that will be on November 26th. So we'll have to wait till the second half of the event to really find out more. We did get a look at the upcoming Best in Show paints as well, with a sleek metallic red on gray pattern. These look spectacular. I'm not a fan of red ship paints, but these are eye-catching to say the least. This of course brings up the question of if this is what we saw in the video with the Pisces flying by, or is there still hopes that we may see a medical Pisces? As we did not see any of the other Best in Shows sporting a red paint, it may still be possible. As we saw on the day that Anvil was shown, the 3 pedestals out front of the Carrack that really seem to be designed to hold something on top of them. As the excitement is growing though, we only have 6 more days till we start getting more answers. In other IAE news, it was announced this past week that there is not going to be a referral bonus for this year's IAE. Though much appreciated when they do offer these, it is understandable that not every event can provide one. But do remember the IAE this year will come with a free fly event for the length of the expo, and you can get in and try out all the ships or even get into and play the game for no cost if you're still considering joining. And if you do decide to get in Star Citizen, still use that referral code, as it does still provide for an additional 5,000 AUEC when you do. Other things that we see this week is information on soft death. What this means is that instead of your ship being automatically destroyed when fighting, that the ship will be able to just be disabled, as this will allow the ability to board and steal items from the ship. Also, as a ship owner, you'll have the ability to fight and defend for your cargo, as well as a means that a player robbed of their goods after the pirates have departed, if still alive, could possibly call for a rescue out to fellow players or even call for help while still being robbed for reinforcements. Another benefit of this is, of course, to the pirates that can now confiscate the goods and sell them for profit, really expanding this gameplay loop into a much more in-depth level. This, of course, is slated to come in with 3.18 and the cargo refactor. Other items of interest that we do see on Spectrum boards is Yogi Klatt responding to a couple questions, one being about size 2 shield EM signatures, acknowledging that they are aware that size 2 EM signatures are broken and they are working on correcting them. Yogi also answered items in the post for pips for fixed weapons of different velocities. The question itself was about having several pips for weapons of different velocity, as they had found that mixing weapons made fighting more difficult. Yogi stated that they are currently finalizing the tech for updating the aiming system, which sets up to deal with multiple weapon speeds and resolves a lot of these issues. He does state that this will not be in with 3.18, as it does require a lot of additional data for weapons and a UI pass, as it shows different kinds of data compared to the old system. And these were some of the highlights from the Ask the Devs chat on Spectrum, and this is always a good source for information. You can always look at the RSI homepage to see some of the most current postings. Of course, this will bring us to our weekly source of news and information. As we had mentioned last week, the Squadron 42 monthly report is released on the RSI website and available for all to check out, as this is a great source to follow the development of Squadron 42, and a link to this will be in the description. Tuesday, we did see the lore post, Portfolios, Eras of IAE History. This short history goes through the first IAE developed and put on by Audrey Timmerman through the centuries to the present day. Originally held in Castor, this was a low-key impromptu show used to really show off an experimental ship to inventors, enthusiasts, and other pilots. The story goes through the history of IAE, with its first sponsor being RSI in the beginning at the Kit Bash era. Moving through the times, it seemed as the show was focused on Aegis in the Messer regime, as well as the corruption that occurred during this time, and the steps taken by Timmerman to ensure that the funds generated would be used for charitable causes after her passing. After the fall of the Messer regime, it follows through the commercialization of the show and the need and eventual setting of a permanent location for the expo, to today's era, where we see the main show still occur out on Kiel while maintaining satellite shows in areas like New Babbage and Stanton. An interesting read for lore enthusiasts that really shows off the in-depth planning and storylines created for the different events within Star Citizen. After the lore, we did see the roadmap roundup on Wednesday, where we see the release view time trial race missions, making it possible for players to test their skills against set times and earn rewards and unlock additional tracks in Stanton. Gen 12 Scene Renderer was also added to the release view, and now Gen 12 renders every scene object with optimization and additional features like Vulcan still planned out for future releases. And lastly, on the release view, we see the Sandbox prison activity set to be committed for 3.17.4 to give inmates more opportunities to earn merits to aid in their release from Klesher. On the progress tracker, the Crusader Spirit series has been added to build and implement, and due to the Anvil Legionnaire waiting gameplay dependent on Squadron 42, it has temporarily been removed from the progress tracker. So just a couple of updates on this roundup, and will admit I'm excited to see the changes coming to Klesher. Thursday brought us a new Inside Star Citizen, and this week it was all about the QA team and their work in the development cycle and the benefits of working directly with developers and artists. We start with looking at the upcoming IAE and their role in making sure that things are running as smooth as possible, checking everything from the lighting to the positioning of assets throughout the area. We see shots of many upcoming items, such as derelict outposts, which will increase from the total of 5 that we have on Microtech to 35 all throughout Stanton. Also, the different activities that will occur in these areas is briefly talked about. They do mention that the introduction of PES has definitely added some additional hurdles. They also look at other locations in the Pyro system, such as those stations, and discuss what the items they are finding currently in the gameplay and what they're testing. After this, we see Jared discuss some of the items that have been worked on to bring more racing into the verse and to incorporate the tracks that the community has already made, with future tracks off of Yella, Area 18, and Euterpe. They have really kept the feel of the community courses, but have added to them with things like debris, large size outposts, facilities, and other aesthetics to really make it feel tighter and more exciting. These courses are really starting to look amazing. This brings us to this week's Star Citizen Live. As last week's episode was canceled and the focus was supposed to be Master Mode, this week we see a focus on racing. Now, there is no known date as to when we'll see the Master Mode episode occur though, as it is a live show and they will have to reschedule that. Getting into the info on racing though, Jared is joined by Nemanja as well as audio team members Graham and Corrington from the Manchester team. And this segment is where they'll cover the other 3 new tracks that'll be coming in with 318. This, along with the ones seen in Inside Star Citizen, are all new to the verse, and some are heavily based on community created tracks. Having been enhanced with more scenery, lighting, debris, and noticeable landmarks, we first look at Daymar. With first looks, it shows assets similar to what we see in the Snake Pit out on Clio. This one is an all-new one located next to the garden out on Daymar. Using the already existing land formations, they were able to quickly and easily design a new track and openly state that a lot of the inspiration came from the Snake Pit. We do discover that there will need to be an entry fee paid to race and a reputation system involved, which will determine the ability to unlock further tracks across Stanton. This brings us to the Lorville track, which will be based on the community race held here. This is not the one spotlighted at CitizenCon, but is just outside the Hurston area behind Hurston Tower. The layout is busy to say the least, with canyons and large rock formations intertwined with piping and industrial features. This one runs approximately 20 kilometers and looks to be a challenge. We see in the run through with the Hurston track the checkpoint markers that are going to appear on the HUD to guide players through. We then take a look at the third and final track, and this brings us over to Orison. The Kaplan circuit takes the racers into the floating structures that are common on Crusader. Another one based off the community track. They did need to make a few adjustments though. One of the more complex and difficult tracks, this one includes slaloms through the structure's underbelly with flight through many tight areas. This concluded the racing portion of the show. Then Jared went into the audio portion. And in this part, they go over the effects of audio on the game and how things like sound can play a part in the feel of the gameplay like racing. Also providing an update on the Claudius system, having over 20,000 audio cues currently going in as they continue to bring this system on board. And that is about it for this week's news and information. As we get closer to IAE, lots of new stuff is coming out. But I hope you enjoyed this update and found it useful. Leave me a comment and let me know what you're most excited about. Remember, you can get entered into 2 giveaways this month. Just subscribe and leave a comment on any video to be entered into the monthly giveaway. You can also get a second entry by heading over to Twitch and give a follow over there. One winner will be selected on December 1st to win one of the newest ships from the IAE 2952. Also, you can get entered into the YouTube exclusive contest by going into the community tab and make sure you're subscribed. Go to the post looking for a name for the new mascot. If your suggestion is selected, then you will win one of the new ships from IAE. The winning name will be chosen on December 1st by myself and a group of Amarok's Fangs members, and the ship from IAE will be selected by me once we see any new concept or straight to flyyables that are released during this event. You can catch the live streams here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays or at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch every Tuesday and Sunday. If you would like to help support the channel, check out the merch store where we have a lot of new items with a new logo and mascot, or click the join button above to get a membership. All this goes right back into our giveaways to the community. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining me, and please be safe out there, and we will catch you in the verse.